Hello there, Mad Mike here, and welcome back to the channel. And today we are going to break down the first trailer for the Book of Boba Fett, which is going to be coming to Disney Plus this December. This is a spin-off series to The Mandalorian. There were several series that were said that were going to be spun off from that. An Ahsoka series, which I believe is currently in development or in post-production, as well as there was going to be the Rangers of the New Republic, which is going to star the Cara Dune character before the Gina Carano fiasco happened. But this is the first major spinoff, and this is the Book of Boba Fett. Because for those people that didn't watch season 2 of The Mandalorian, I'm going to be spoiling it a little bit, I guess. Boba Fett is brought back from his original death in the Sarlacc pit in Episode 6, and he is once again running around the galaxy. Now, again, with the Mandalorian timeline, this is supposed to take place not terribly long after Return of the Jedi. I think maybe like 5 or 6 years. So that whole time frame, Boba Fett is still, he's older, but he's still around. Now, in this case, he is also being played by Temuera Morrison, who was the same actor who portrayed him in the sequel trilogy, or portrayed, I should say, Jango Fett in the sequel trilogy, as well as, technically all of the clones as well. Um, but this is kind of, other than Mandalorian season 2, this is the first time we've really seen him him as an actor really come back into the Star Wars fold. But I really like his voice. Now, I know a lot of people have criticized the whole George Lucas thing about replacing Boba Fett's voice in Episode 5 with the guy who played Jango because he's supposed to be a clone. But look, I'm sorry, you give me Tamara Morrison in anything and you have him speak badass things to me, and I'm going to be entertained. It's kind of like whenever you hear oh God, what's a really really great example with somebody with a great voice? Kind of like Keith David or Tony Todd, somebody like that that has this very kind of imposing voice that you just sort of love to hear whenever it comes to certain things. When it comes to tough guy characters and stuff like that. It's like Clint Eastwood saying "Make my day." That shit like that never gets old. But him as Boba Fett, I am happy with that. I think it's a good idea. This series is also being backed by Favreau, Filoni, and Robert Rodriguez this time around as well. There's a lot of really good creative talent behind this. And the only thing I will say too about the trailer is that it's not very long. It's only about a minute and 30 seconds. But we're going to actually start diving into this now because I've gushed a little bit too much probably for the beginning of this. But basically, we start out with this big open shot, and you see kind of like a cliffside, and then up comes this like little spider-like droid. I don't know if necessarily that's a finished effect. That might be kind of pseudo-finished because it looks a little wonky. And the CGI in those shows usually actually looks pretty good, even though they mix it with a lot of practical effects. Which again, there are a lot of practical effects in this, which I'm very happy with. But then that droid kind of goes across the landscape, and then we are spun to Jabba's palace. And again, this is after Episode 6, so Jabba is dead. Princess Leia strangled him to death on his little dune ship, and then he got blown up. So he is very much dead. And Boba Fett has seen it fit to take over Jabba's former criminal empire, and that's really what I think this trailer is meant to establish: is where Boba Fett is at this point, in relation to the Mandalorian, who's off kind of doing his own thing. And that is that he has moved in to take up Jabba's business, and he also has brought his assistant, which is I apologize if I mispronounce this, Ming-Na Wen. Who, again, a lot of people probably remember from a lot of other Marvel projects. She was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a very long time, and she also did some stuff. She was in the original Street Fighter movie. She played Chun-Li. But, again, somebody who's very adept at action. I believe she also was in season 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian. I know she was in both of them, but I just can't remember exactly because it's been a while since I've watched it. But basically, this whole thing is interesting to me, where he's going to be taking over all of Jabba's former criminal enterprises and kind of wrangling up that organization that kind of split off in different directions after he died. And we then begin to see that where Boba Fett and Boba Fett is meeting with all of these different representatives from Jabba's old court. He's talking to them, and again, during this whole thing, we're also getting a voiceover, various voiceovers actually. We're getting one from Temuera Morrison as Boba Fett. We're getting another one which I can't quite place, and I think we're also getting one from Ming-Na Wen. So there's three different voiceovers that are going kind of at the same time that are sort of kind of explaining the scene and stuff like that. And there's some good lines in there mixed in as well. We also have some action scenes which are kind of done up. We see a scene where Wen and Boba Fett are kind of walking through this village, kind of like Old West style. Again, a lot like they would like to do with the Mandalorian, where they're kind of like walking down this dirt road in the middle of town. Which I always really liked the Western aspects of Star Wars, and Mandalorian kind of accentuated those for me, especially season one. Which is why I'm glad it's not really going away. Again, you're kind of on Tatooine; it's a sand planet. I get it. The aesthetic kind of matches what you want for that, but you have some scenes like that. We have some scenes where he's putting on his helmet and he's running around in the armor and stuff like that. Which again, I love the fact that he's in Mandalorian armor most of the time, but he is also not afraid to show his face. And I don't mean that in terms of the other more Mandalorians are afraid. It's their creed. I understand that, but I do like the fact that we do get to see him outside of the helmet for a little bit, at least in the trailer. I don't think they're going to try and keep him too much under wraps in this. It also, based on that too, exactly, it also looks like Temuera Morrison got in much better shape for this season because he was a little bit bulky in Mandalorian Season 2 when he was wearing that suit, but he looks like he has slimmed out quite a bit now. And he looks like he is back to fighting shape, which looks very, very good, especially with that costume now that he's a bit more slim. But, I really like that about the trailer too, is that they do show a lot of the actual armor. I kind of miss the banged up armor from the original series. I don't enjoy too much that he repainted it, but at least it's the same color scheme. And eventually it will reacquire all those things, I'm sure, by the end of this season. But we see that, and basically there is a line, as you move into the trailer, there is one other fight scene that they do extenuate where it's him versus a bunch of what looks like shield guards with batons, or possibly like some kind of vibro blade or something like that. And it also shows him apparently decapitating one of them, although the decapitation itself looks like it's happening off screen. But it's very interestingly cut in with a scene where Boba Fett is having a back and forth with one of Jabba's former business partners, and the guy is basically telling Boba Fett, "Well, what's stopping us from simply killing you and taking all of the money?" And it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you just realized that you insulted Boba Fett. You're going to die. And I love the fact that he just kind of sits back in the chair after Wen gives kind of a little bit of a line. He just sits back in the chair with the helmet on and just goes, "Speak freely." And it's one of those perfect little moments where it's like, you wrote Boba Fett right, and I like Boba Fett being a badass now. Because it was one of those things that, he was always told, in terms of the expanded universe, they went into much greater depth with it. But we were always kind of told in the movies that he was the greatest bounty hunter, but we've never really shown it all that much. The only time when we ever really get to see him in action is Episode 6, and even then he's kind of not doing much until Luke Skywalker or Han Solo launches him into the Sarlacc pit. So it's a little bit of a different scenario in this, where we actually, the show is centered around him. We get to learn a little bit more about him in this universe for people that either A, might not be familiar with him, or B, if Disney did another overhaul on the backgrounds. I know they did a little bit of one with Jango Fett. Well, not a little bit of one, but they did one with Jango Fett, so it kind of altered Boba a little bit just by default. But I am interested to see where this goes. Like I said, it's a first trailer. They don't show a ton of action, which I'm okay with for a first trailer, even though it was a little bit slow. But it's a first trailer. I'm curious what the second trailer is going to wind up showing us, because there probably will be a second one before this show launches. So I'm very eager to see that. And I'm also eager to see kind of where this story spins off from and how far they're going to take this into its own thing. Because again, this is a spin-off from The Mandalorian, but I'm wondering, they're probably going to try and make it so that they can expand on it with the season 2. So I'm curious where this season will go, and if we will wind up seeing that season 2 if this season is good. But that's just kind of my opinion on this whole thing. As usual, I'm going to link the trailer in the description below for anybody that wants to watch it. But in the comment section, tell me what you want to see. Are you excited for the Boba Fett show? Are you excited for the Ahsoka show, the Obi-Wan show, any of that stuff? Mandalorian season 3 too. Chuck that in there. Any of the stuff that's coming out from Filoni and Favreau, because again, a lot of it does look relatively good. Like I said, unfortunately, I don't think we're getting the new Rangers of the Republic show, or Rangers of the New Republic, but whatever. But put in the comments below. If you're excited for this, if you're not, if you've seen the trailer, if you haven't, if you like that Temuera Morrison is coming back to the role, to reprise it from Mandalorian season 2. As usual, put your thoughts in the comments below. I like to read them. Hit the bell for notifications. Hit the like button. Subscribe, and remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?